today. I have a gentleman named John who lives in New England who is leasing a claim just on the other side of those mountains there. And he's never been there. He wants me to take a look at it, do some sampling, kind of give him an idea what I can find there. I've never been there. Chris has never been there. Eva for sure has never been there. So we're trying to find a claim where we don't know where it is except for a few things. Number one, we have the GPS coordinates of the claim corners. We have some pictures of adit, a shaft, a few other workings. So what I've done is I've used Google Earth and starting with the satellite, there's the actual claim. And it's starting from there and backtracking the roads. I keep going back and back. And there's a satellite of the whole area. We are basically over here right now. We're going to go through this gap and down here to the claim. Now, these are the instructions on how to get to the claim. Every single intersection of any kind, I have the GPS coordinates and what to do at them. We're starting, the highway is right over here, and right here, Grand Canyon Travel Center. I've checked the GPS, my machine matches these coordinates, and now we're going to head yonder, and every intersection we'll check the GPS and do what the instructions say, and hopefully we will wind up where we're supposed to be. Once we're there, we'll look at the workings that I've identified from the satellite and see if they match the photographs I have on my laptop right now, and we can do the sampling. So let's get going. This is fairly typical of the road. It doesn't look like much of a road. And scenery is great. That's the Colorado River Valley in front of us there. Luckily, Mojave County Search and Rescue, etc. has marked the roads out here, which is very useful if we knew which road we needed to be on. Unfortunately, I didn't have that map. So, we're doing a little bit of wandering. I have a sat map with a sat photo here, and here's where we need to get to, and we're right around in here somewhere right now. So we will probably figure it out sometime in the next day or two. We'll see. Well, we have finally reached John's claim. It was an interesting trip. There was a few detours and stuff. We had to get out, inspect the ground, figure out where we were at, go from there. We finally found it. Only had to repair the road in one spot. There was a couple other spots I just did it because. And there's a number of workings here. Small ones. There's one there. Maybe one there. Definitely one there. There's one on the hill behind. That's a little bit bigger, apparently. There's one there. This is where all the photographs were from. And basically there's a halfway between a decline and a slope up in that hill there. It comes down into that adit right there. The literature said that there was 1 ounce to the ton in the mine dumps, which seems optimistic, but we're now set up to do our speed prospecting. Started out with that dump right there, And let's get at it and see what we got here. Here we are in the attic. You can see the pickup truck out there. Comes into an intersection here, and we took 2 samples. This one here, between those lines, this darker material had a lot of quartz crystals in it and would look like might be smoky quartz. Here's a close-up of the material. They're not real clean quartz crystals. They may not even be quartz in some cases. It's kind of a nasty looking matrix there, but it's coated with some sort of crystals with a darker material too. When you pan it, you get this kind of off-white to tan material that's high density. That's actually heavier than black sands. See the black sands in that area right there that are actually lighter than this stuff? I don't know. Scheelite perhaps? Don't know. I think a chemical analysis is in order. The other sample we took was between these 2 lines here. So far, none of the samples we've taken down here have shown any visible gold in a pan. That's not definitive, but it's not encouraging. Now, back here, just sitting in the thing there, we have a little dead end drift here, heading towards the side of the hill. That dark staining is from rainwater. On this side over here, we have a kind of a stope. I don't know whether they went up or down. I'm guessing down. And then they drove the tunnel into it. Footing kind of sucks. And it's a little sketchy. Now in this area here, it looks like they were going after something. Looks like 2 different rock types. So, one sample was up there. The other sample was down here. And we'll see how that turns out. Can you get a good view up of there? Or you want to hand me the camera?
I'll hand it to you.
Okay. So there is the view up above. Let me see if this, that probably helps a little better. You're not looking right into the bright sky. But they sank on this. Pretty irregular, pretty broken. This is not very competent rock, and there's no clearly delineated structures or mineralization. I'm really not sure what's going on here. Let's go outside and show you what it looks like from open air. Here we are at the top of the hill. Here's the workings. Again, there's not a whole lot of rhyme or reason visible on this. Here's the decline. And Chris is going to sample that dump to there. I'm going to sample this dump around over there. Let me work on getting a little better view of the decline. Give you a somewhat better idea. Looks like. Just a mess. I don't see anything in particular that they were mining. maybe that stuff in the cracks, but you're not seeing a whole lot of mineralization. All right, that looks like some quartz veining there. Don't see a whole lot of iron staining, but that's quartz. There's that little dog hole there. Again, they were going something there, but what was it and why? Same here, there's your decline. We're at the bottom of that looking up. We'll see what we will see. The view is rather extraordinary. As you can see, the sun's getting low in the sky. We need to get our last samples, pack it up, and get out of here before it gets dark. It's a pretty complex route back. Okay, now this is kind of on the north side. Little view. Come around here to this little dump, it looks different. This material here looks almost solidly iron stained. I mean, it looks almost like oxidized pyrites or something like that. It's kind of high up here. Walk back, so I just collected some and put it in this bucket here. And this may be the ore. I don't know. That may be what they were going for, but they've clearly segregated it. You can see it goes from that to that. So we shall see. If you see something, sample it. Isn't this interesting? When processing the material that was oxide, iron oxide looking stuff up on the dump, we find this yellow mineral here. It is not gold. It's opaque but a little bit translucent, yellow, kind of like sulfur but not quite as yellow. But it's denser than hematite. Take a look at that red underneath it. That's hematite. That's your basic black sand. This is denser than that. My guess is what we're looking at is uranium oxide, because it has a density of a little over 10, and that would make sense. It can appear in yellow. Some pitch blende is usually black or gray, but yellow is a legitimate color for pitch blende. So we may be looking at uranium here. More research is indicated. So here we have a conundrum. There's a couple things that are inconsistent here. Number one, John was told this is a gold claim. None of the samples that I've panned had any decent quantities of gold at all. Most of them had no detectable gold. As a matter of fact, this may be the least gold I've ever found in a purported gold mine so far. I suspect that this mine was not a gold mine. The extent of the workings and the relatively chaotic looking nature of the workings indicates they were going after something. But there's no indication of a vein. It's more like pockets of something. Don't know what. Doesn't appear to be gold, doesn't appear to be a vein, does appear to be actual mining. Now, on the way over here, not only do we see a number of other mines, none of them really large, most of them very small to modest. But there was also an area that had been drilled. I mean, you'd see these little pieces of 4-inch pipe about this high sticking out of the ground with a yellow cap on them. I took one off, dropped a rock down that, and it went down quite a ways. So, somebody had drilled that. that means somebody believed there was serious indications of a potentially mineable and profitable ore body. And in fact, there was one area where the drill holes were like on 50-foot centers. Now that's the sort of thing where they've hit something and they're doing infill drilling to thoroughly delineate it. I have no idea what it is. I may be able to do some research and find out. However, at this point, I have no indication it's gold. There's many other things you could be looking for. That yellow mineral that was part of the rusty looking material, that looked to me to be potentially uranium. Wolfenite is, it doesn't make sense to me. Scheelite usually isn't that color. The material from the crystal area, that could have been scheelite, which is a tungsten ore. It'll be highly dense. But uranium oxide, it's very dense too, and it was behaving quite dense. So at this point, I think the thing to do to find out what's going on is to do a chemical analysis, to actually take the crystal sample and the rust sample and send it off for like 35 element analysis and see what the heck comes back. It seems unlikely that this is going to be profitable on a micro scale. I mean, like uranium's $30 a pound. You pretty much have to have a pretty big ore body on that. I really don't know. There was dozer work that had been done, a decent sized dozer that had ripper teeth. So that was probably, no earlier than the 1940s. My guess is probably more in the 1980s or so, just from the amount of vegetation and things like that. 80s, 90s, maybe as late as 2000, don't know. But it's very interesting, but I'm not very hopeful that it's going to turn out well. And I also find that the claim owners' assertion that the dumps were running an ounce to the ton is highly optimistic at best, and potentially deliberately deceptive. These are things you have to worry about. I'm going to see about maybe coming up with a video on what to look for, and when you're looking to lease a mining claim from somebody. There's certain indicators that are just dead giveaways, other things you just want to avoid. So I'll see maybe coming up with that pretty soon. Anyhow, that's basically what we're looking at this claim. So happy prospecting and keep it safe out there.